What's up guys, and welcome back to another review of Better Call Saul from Season 2, Part 2, Episode 10, titled Nippy. So we're going to be discussing the episode, we're going to be talking about spoilers obviously, so if you haven't watched it, turn away now. So in the previous episode we were left off with this big cliffhanger where we saw a time shift to where Jimmy has now become fully blown Saul Goodman, and we are in the Breaking Bad timeline now. So we really had no idea what to expect for this next episode. We only have a few more, so yeah, it was kind of going to be an episode either we're going to be seeing more of Saul Goodman in his prime, or we're going to be seeing, I don't know, whatever. So essentially this episode, titled Nippy, focuses entirely on the character of Gene, which is the picture you can see in the background there. It is his alter ego in the present day timeline set after the Breaking Bad storyline, where Gene is living in Nebraska, I think in Nebraska, and he is on the run, kinda. He's working in the Cinnabon undercover. So we've seen glimpses of this storyline throughout the whole show. And it's actually the first time I think we've seen him since the beginning of season 5, or somewhere in between season 5. We haven't seen him at all in this season. So with every episode of Better Call Saul, we have a cold open, and in today's one we start off following a elderly lady called Marion, and she's just flying around the supermarket in her mobile scooter, picking things up with like a little pincher thing, like a grabber. And when she heads outside, everything has turned to kind of snow. There's snow everywhere around. So immediately for me, this felt like Granite State from Breaking Bad, where towards the end of that storyline, things were turning into winter, and Walter White had to kind of live out in the wilderness and ended up coming back to Albuquerque. So I don't know if this is a sign of things to come. Definitely something that stood out to me with the whole winter comparison. So Gene is putting up a missing dog poster for a dog called Nippy. So there we have a first little inkling for the title of this episode. So she is stuck in the snow. Marion can't move her mobile scooter, and Gene conveniently helps her out. He pushes her through the snow, and what we saw here, I'm not sure exactly what he did. I think he might have actually cut her accelerator or one of her wires to her mobile scooter. So immediately I was thinking this has got to be some kind of scheme. We've never seen him with a dog anyway, so there's something more to this already that's going to happen. So shortly after this, we see that he is in Marion's home. He's cooking for her. They're having all this banter, and someone walks through the door, and that is Marion's son, Jeff. Now, Jeff is actually a character we have seen previously in season 5, and the character has been recast, so there's a whole new actor playing this character. I don't know if there was like an intro scene. I didn't see one, but essentially Jeff's character was from the beginning of season 5. He was a taxi driver, and he went up to Saul in the mall, or Gene, and pretty much told him that he knows that he's Saul, but he never tried to blackmail him. He never tried to sort of ask money from him, or he was going to threaten him or anything like that. So I wasn't quite sure if he was just like a fan, or I'm not sure. He was a person from Albuquerque. So starting off here, we have him being Marion's son. So obviously this whole thing has been orchestrated at this point. So Gene, or Jimmy, or Saul is up to something. He's getting some of his scheming ways back, even if it's just for self-preservation, and that seems to be the whole cause of this. So this whole episode is a big mystery. You don't really know what's happening, why it's happening, and the conclusion to what's going to happen. It's all a big guessing game, and that's what I absolutely love about this show and Breaking Bad. I love it when they have moments that they tease you with, but you have no idea where it's going to go. And that is just like, this whole episode is like one big cold open, I think. And I haven't mentioned it already, but the entire episode is in black and white, so already we're getting a whole different stylistic look to it. All the colours are obviously muted, so there are certain things later on in the episodes which are kind of distinctly keeping out of our view colour-wise, but you can tell that it's something drastic. But we'll get to that when we get to it. So Jimmy has a conversation outside with Jeff, and he tells him that he knows that he hasn't handed him in for a reason. He hasn't asked for money for a reason, and that's because he wants to get into the game. And I don't think this is entirely what Jeff wants, but it seems like Jimmy, or Gene, is trying to kind of convince Jeff that he wants to be this big something. So he tells him that he wants to get into the game. He wants the money, the riches, the girls, the infamy. So he kind of manipulates poor Jeff in this way. But then again, Jeff is bit of a manipulator himself, so he's kind of brought it on himself. And obviously we know that Jimmy's doing this. I'm going to keep calling him Jimmy just because we know Jimmy's doing this because he's got some kind of end game in this which is going to suit himself. So one whole thing for this episode. We are trying to figure out his entire motives, and I just thought that was absolutely like captivating because we have no idea where it's going to go. We've never been this far into the present timeline. This is ongoing with Better Call Saul's normal traditional story. It's leading up to something. It's leading up to Breaking Bad. This is afterwards, so it's a whole new ball game. One other thing that I noticed was quite different about this one was the intro section as well. Normally we get like this sort of videotape montage of clips that may relate to the show, and in this one it was very short, I felt, and it actually cut to a blue screen like you see there with the stop screen and went Better Call Saul. So it's like, is this leading to the end of the story or end of sort of Jimmy's scheming ways and becoming the focus Saul Goodman on just crime and not his like having a film crew to come in and prank people and these minor schemes? Is this an end to that and a beginning to the more serious style of Saul Goodman and what he's been up to? I don't know, I just thought that was something worth mentioning. So back at Gene's home, we see him doing his regular business, which is it's a really depressing way to live his life. He seems like all he does is drink alcohol and listen to a phone police scanner all night, just listening out, maybe in paranoia that he's going to be mentioned on it. And this is where we get one of the more iconic shots of the episode and the show in whole. I mean, this is a iconic thing that happens almost all the time in Breaking Bad. We get a wall space, a crawl space shot where a character is venturing into a hidden compartment to either get out money or something that is hidden, like the ricin cigarette or Mike with his like gunned and hidden tools. And we get one here with Gene reaching in to get out a box which has a lot of photographs. I'm not sure we actually see any of them, but he has like this ring which I believe is one of the ones he wears as Saul Goodman. So he's getting his slipping Jimmy sort of personality back. I think this is like some kind of hubris thing with Jimmy. He's lost everything, and I know if he gets back into this it's going to be bad for him. Maybe he's going with the whole it's better to burn out than fade away situation. So he's getting this ring out and he's getting some stuff out of this crawl space, which is usually an indicator that something is going to change or happen. Now we have a big sort of montage scene here as well, where Jimmy is finishing his shift, he's taking out the trash, and he's taking a bag of Cinnabon goods to the security guards in the mall. So, like I've been saying all the way through this episode, we have no idea what his plans are or what he's doing. It kind of unfolds as it's happening, and I just love that. That's one thing, the Cinnabon looks fucking incredible. I mean, look at that. I'm assuming it's like a sort of a cinnamon roll with some kind of cream or sauce on it, which looks really good, even in black and white. So he is going up there after the end of every shift, you would presume, and he's feeding the security guards with cinnamon rolls. So, I mean, you wouldn't complain if you're the security guard, but he's timing it as well on his watch. So he's seeing how long it takes for the guard to finish his cinnamon roll. So there's already some plan here that we don't know about at this point. And we have a montage of him going back and back and back after every shift and talking to him and figuring out how long it takes and basically just getting more comfortable with these guards. And it all seems to be one big part of a long con, but we don't know what the con is yet. We know it must involve Jeff in some way. And the guard mentions a lot of times about like football and things, and it seems like Jimmy is just kind of giving him small talk answers that he doesn't know about. But by the end of this montage, he's kind of quizzing the security guard on football facts. He's dedicated himself in this character to get inside the conversations with these guards. So it just shows you what Saul or Jimmy or Gene is capable of as someone to infiltrate someone's sort of friend group or being put in a light that is favourable to himself. After this as well, we get another mysterious sort of scene where Jimmy's walking around the mall with his notepad and he's writing down how many steps it takes to get around certain shops in the mall, and I'm having no clue what the hell he's doing here. Is this an escape route for if he gets caught? Is this obviously something to do with what he's doing with the security guard? We don't know what's happening, and I didn't at this point either. This then transfers into a scene where they're out in the snow, Jimmy, Jeff and Jeff's friend, and he's created the whole blueprint outlook of the mall, it seems, or at least one of the floors of the mall, with all these picket fences and wires and ropes and stuff, and it looks like one big sort of maze or a race course. He has Jeff running around replicating what looks to be a robbery. He's got all these pinpoints around this maze he's created of different items that he needs to steal. So at this point I'm thinking, is this a way for Jimmy to try and get some money for himself to try and get out of Nebraska and back to Albuquerque? Is this a way for him to get Jeff busted by the police in a robbery? I don't know at this point, and that's what I love about this episode. I don't know what the hell is happening. I don't know I have no idea. So it's got to be something to do with the mall. It's got to be something to do with him stealing clothes, obviously. But we don't know what the end game is, and we don't know what Jimmy's motive is in this. And it ultimately feels like it's a bad thing for Jeff in a way, because he's essentially being a rat in a maze for Jimmy. And that is like a test subject, a guinea pig. So from this, just the look of it and the way he was running around, I was having a feeling that Jeff is in for something bad. He's going to get busted or something. And this is where we get into one of the more intense scenes of the episode. And this is a scene where Jimmy seems to be finally up to the task of whatever he's been planning for all this time. And he goes into the security guy's office with his usual Cinnabon. And there is a delivery truck that has delivered a big, huge crate into the mall. And he has this whole sort of phone conversation with one of the supervisors or managers of the mall, and he kind of persuades her to leave this into the mall overnight until a delivery driver can come and take it away. I wasn't sure what was going to be in this box, whether it was some kind of tools to rob a safe or something like that. What it turned out to be was, when Jimmy went into the office with the security guards, the crate would open up and inside was Jeff, ready to make his robbery debut in the mall. It's almost like a more lower scale heist than the train heist, but just as intense, just as fun to watch. It actually gave me a lot of Dawn of the Dead vibes, with just the whole running around the mall collecting goods and things to use and foods, and it just gave me those vibes. And I love those kind of films where you have a whole survival scenario where people are just gathering up supplies and being in a mall. It's just a super fun idea and something to get your imagination going. Now, with plans like this, you can plan down to the minute detail, but something may have changed along the way, and it usually does, and things can not always go as perfect as possible. So we're seeing things going to plan for the majority of the time through. So Jeff is running around collecting all his items as planned. He's doing his job. Jimmy's doing his jobs, distracting the security guard, talking about all of the football games and things, just to keep his eyes off the camera, until Jeff slips on the previously polished floor, which was not a part of the plan. You would assume that the floor just hasn't been clean for a while, and the manager has saw this spot on the floor. She says it needs polishing, but Jimmy doesn't know about that, the guards don't know about that, and Jeff certainly doesn't know about that. So this whole situation turns sour very fast with the guards basically eating his Cinnabon. And Jimmy is just in despair, looking at the camera behind him, and you can see that Jimmy's on the floor for a very, very long time. And honestly, I thought he might have died. I thought he might have cracked his head open. I was half expecting to see just blood like drain out of his head in the camera, which would just make things so like bad for everyone involved. And this is where Jimmy breaks down into hysterics to try and keep the guards' attention. And this is where we see his actual sort of personality come out here, where he's telling them that he's lonely, has no family, and he starts mentioning about his brother died and his wife had left him or died. I cannot quite remember, but he can tell by the look in his eyes that he's drawing from memories about Chuck and Kim just to sell the story, and that's quite depressing in a way. Obviously, it's Jimmy doing these things. He's going to these levels to try and distract this man, but also he's bringing up really bad and tragic memories from his past. He has not forgotten about any of these things. He might have shut them out while he was Saul, but as Gene, these things are still haunting him, and maybe he's going to try and make things right eventually. Who knows? I kind of want a happy ending for Gene at this point. So eventually Jeff does get up and gathers all of the things he's dropped and manages to successfully pull off this heist somehow. That's a good thing for Gene. All of the planning has eventually come to a succession here, and this is where we really get the conclusion to why this whole thing has happened. Why is it for the money? Is it for just getting the buzz out of doing something criminal again? No, this is actually for Jimmy to have a reason to blackmail Jeff and his friend into not telling the truth about him being Saul Goodman. They're all together now working on a hefty crime which involves a lot of money and a lot of jail time. So he tells Jeff that after this, we are done. If you ever like look at me in the street, cross the street, if you ever mention anything about this, we're all going to go down for a very long time. So he's kind of won them in this game. Maybe this is the game he was talking about originally. He has found out a way to manipulate them into doing something which will get them all put in jail for a very long time. So Jimmy is going to walk out of this unscathed, pretty much, one would assume. Which leads us to the very climax of the episode, in which Jimmy is walking through the mall, checking that everything has gone to plan, no one's talking about anything, and everything's running smooth. At this point, Gene has the feeling like he's got away with something. He's got away with something for the first time in a long time, besides hiding his identity. and he picks up one of these really floral tribal shirts. It almost looks like something Tuco would have worn, and he has this big thick horrible tie as well. You can just tell from the black and white image there that there's some colour to this, there's some vibrancy, and this is something that Saul would wear. And I was almost expecting him to kind of give like his little thumbs up or a signal to the mirror while no one was looking. You could tell he wanted to do something, but this is definitely leading us into a Granite State sort of scenario where I think Gene is going to get back on the bandwagon of Saul Goodman for I don't know what reason, other than to be caught and just to end his misery. I don't know. We only have a few episodes left. I'm in the dark about where this is going to go. If he's going to go back to Albuquerque, I don't know what his reasoning would be. He doesn't have quite the motive that Walter White had with going back to secure the money for his family. Gene, like you said, he doesn't really have anything besides Kim, I guess. So I don't know what his motives would be if he did go back to Albuquerque, but we'll have to wait and see till next week, or potentially until the finale, until we see Gene again. But I just want to say I had a really good time watching this episode and just figuring out what the hell was going on. The mystery was great. The acting was great. Loved the way it was all black and white. This one shot, we're three episodes away from the finale, and they've been bold enough to do like an episode that is out of timeline and just not following the very, very big cliffhanger we had last time. So one thing to note as well is that Jimmy has placed this shirt and tie on the end of the rail. He didn't put it back in the rail. He's almost like he's left it out for a reason. So that's just a little tiny thing which they've clearly thought about. No detail in these shows is left there for a reason. This is definitely put there on purpose. Is he going to come back the next day and buy it? Are we going to see him in colour next episode, just wearing this thing out in the open? Who knows? Anyways, that's been my discussion, breakdown, theories about episode 10 of Better Call Saul. I hope you've enjoyed it. Do let me know down below in the comment section what you thought about it. Let me know your theories. I don't watch the promos for the next episode, so if you do have any theories about those, please don't comment about those, because I don't like to watch those. I like to just watch the episodes as they come out. But yeah, do let me know your theories, otherwise what you think from this episode. And yeah, I will see you again very soon with episode 11. So see you next time, guys.